God, kill me. I want to die. And Gwen, you're with Mr. Roy.
Hello again.
Hi.
Roy Miller. Nice to make your acquaintance, Gwen Donnelly. Fish, they like facing upstream. Fish is always facing upstream looking for something. So I'm gonna give them something. There we got it. I suppose it's none of my business, but are you getting the help you need?
When we were getting on that bus, I saw this look in your eyes, and I thought, that's exactly how I feel.
What's happening? It is officially Labor Day in the United States, but we're working anyway, just despite the commies. So let's get some fun lighting on here. Some lighting to match my shirt. Something a little purple, a little blue. Guess I can turn this on for just a minute so you can see me a little bit better. And we are going to be working today in Resolve, and I've already got it pulled up here. So we're going to be going through and doing a few things. There's still some stuff I want to learn, and there is still some stuff that needs to be set up properly, and I hate to do a ton of work before I get things properly set up, but I don't have a choice. So I'm going to power through and do some work, and then when I get things better set up, I'll come back and tweak, I guess. I think I've got the big decisions made. The biggest thing is I want to make sure that my monitor is properly calibrated. It was 100% calibrated Rec 709 out of the box. So I have it set on the Rec 709 preset, and I'm using the original color profile that came with it. I attempted to use this Data Color Spider Pro, which after looking on B&H, turns out this is really like for photo editing. And basically the software was taking an ambient light reading and then trying to get my monitor to match the ambient light, you know, which I'm like, don't do that. That's not what I want. And so anyway, a friend recommended a better device. So I think I'm going to send this back and get the better device, which will take, you know, a few days to get here. But I can be working on some things in the meantime. I'm not going to get that far into the process. But anyway, so one thing that I would like to do before we go too far is I'm still really liking this Elgato Stream Deck that I just got, and there's still a lot of things to set up on it. One of the things to set up on it is you can do like a toggle switch, and so this top left switch, I have it pinned. It is to start and end the stream. And I don't know. I don't guess I really need that pinned to every page. But anyway, I'm still kind of learning and deciding, like, how to do this. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to edit it. So it's a toggle switch. It starts and ends the stream, but that's not all that it does. It's a whole list of things that it does. So everything that happened with the stream until you saw me was all automated by the Stream Deck. So I hit and I can see that we're getting some disconnects. I apologize for that in advance. I really don't know what to do about that. I wish I did. But it starts the stream and it fades through the different graphics. It plays the trailer and then it fades to the FaceTime camera, which is what you're seeing down here in this little box. So one thing that what I realized when I sat down was on my preview screen, it was black because that was the last thing that it did, and it's going back to black after the trailer. Or is it? Maybe it's not. Let's look and see. Yeah, no, it just plays the trailer. Okay, so this right here, where it goes to FaceTime, it's setting the preview to FaceTime. I'm just going to move this up before the delay. So that way it'll change over to the trailer and then it'll send some chat messages, which you see there in the chat. And then it'll immediately go to FaceTime in the preview. And that way I'll have 2 minutes and 29 seconds to fix my hair, and whatnot. I just like to be able to see what is about to be seen. Make sure that, I don't have a boogie or whatever, right? So got that fixed. I think that's good. So we'll close that again for now. Wait. It's still on just the one button. I need to go to, there we go. Okay. So we'll leave that there for now. So let's go back to the list of things to do and see what we can do. Calibrate BenQ monitor. Okay, can't do that right now. It's as close as we're going to get. Colin Kelly's 18% gray checker. This is actually a YouTube video that I'm watching, and I was watching before I went to go eat lunch, and then 2 o'clock snuck up on me, and I just really wanted to get online by 2 o'clock. Not for any particular reason, but trying to be a little more consistent about being on multiple days a week, being on at a certain time. And anyway, I'm really bad about that, but I want to be better about that, because I think the one thing that I'm noticing in people who are successful online, it really isn't that they are the most talented people. I wish that it were. I wish that having the most talent was the thing. But that's not really it. I think you have to have a baseline level of talent, and I think your baseline has to be a little higher than most other people's. But beyond that, the number one thing, if you have that baseline level of talent that's just a little bit above average, then the number one thing about being really successful online is actually consistency. It is not being really, really talented. It's consistency if you're wanting to build an audience and that sort of thing. And so, even Colin Kelly, watching his color grading tutorials on YouTube, he puts out so much information, and it's such good information. And I see a lot of the things that he is coloring and a lot of the choices and stuff that he makes, and I don't know that I would make the same choices. He's obviously a professional, and he obviously is very good at it, but that doesn't necessarily mean I would do the things that he is doing. That doesn't necessarily mean that our tastes are the same. But that doesn't matter, because he's so consistent in putting out information that I feel like any question that I have, I can go there and quickly find an answer to. It's the stuff that he puts out is very well organized. I'm really sort of finding my way through this whole process. But I just turned 46 years old. If a 46-year-old man can figure out Twitch for the first time in his life, for the 46-year-old who doesn't play video games at all, I have one game that I play on my phone, and it's a fake farm where I grow things, and then and then the townspeople buy them, and I get money. That's all it is. It's not even really that fun anymore. It's like a lot of it's a lot of work, Actual farming, I think, would be more fun. So I don't play games. I don't know Twitch at all, but I feel like, hey, there's at least been a handful of people that have kind of been interested in what we're doing here. So I think the more consistent I can be, and the more I can do things like this, where I'm like, here's what we're going to tackle today. If I can be more specific about that in the titles and the descriptions, if I can be more focused in my time, and that way I can cut out clips, so I can put specific clips up that stay on the page. Because especially with all these data dropouts, you go to my videos and it's like 2 minutes, 4 minutes, when actually it was one 5-hour long streaming session that just got interrupted a bunch of times because it just, I don't know, streaming between Restream and Twitch didn't work, or the streaming between my computer and Restream didn't work, or whatever. I don't know. All right. So out of these things, I'm going to skip the first two. The first one I can't do. The second one I'm going to do offline because it's watching Colin Kelly's content and sort of figuring it out from there. Oh, and I actually got what the biggest thing that I needed, which is where is middle gray in what I'm doing. And middle gray is I'm actually going to pull up his YouTube video just for a second. Let me find the frame where he shows that list. He's got a I guess let me just pull it over. He's got a list. Here it is. Okay. His mid-gray cheat sheet. And this is actually one of his freebies. And if you search for this video, the #1 color grading tool that's not a knob in Davinci Resolve, and I'll just put it in the chat. How about that? Type a message, paste. Okay, so that should have been posted both to Twitch and YouTube. And if you go to the description of that video, he's got a link for his starter kit, and he gives you a free Kodak 2383 LUT to use on your timeline node, which I'm using in this project. Looks fantastic, looks great. Works in ACES or Davinci Intermediate, wide gamut, whatever. If you're working in a large intermediate color space, it's probably going to be one of those two. His LUT works in both of those. But it also has this mid-gray cheat sheet, and basically it's telling you whatever workspace you're working in, where is mid-gray. So I had been looking like, where is mid-gray on DaVinci Blackmagic Pocket 6K Gen 4, but that's not what I need to be looking for because it's been converted to ACES CCT, which is more standardized. And so on this chart here, normalize 0 to 1, ACES CCT, the midpoint is, let's just take it full screen. Oh, you can't see this at all. There we go. All right, so if I take this full screen, then we can see the ACES CCT normalized is 414, and in 10-bit is 423. So I think that we are in this normalized. I think it's this first column. Yeah, it says you can use these values to evaluate your middle exposure position following the application of a LUT transform.
This effectively.
Oh, and I didn't mean to play that. Sorry. So 414. So what that means is this is where you're going to set your pivot. This is where you're going to set your pivot down here in the lift gamma gain in the primaries. And the thing is, I don't think that there's any way to. This is a question. This is a question. I don't think there's a way to do this, or he would have said. But let's add this question because maybe that video is old and maybe they've added a way to do this in 19. So let's add to our questions, our learning. And let's put it after this Y gamma here. Is there a way to set pivot to default to 414? Because that's what we're aiming for. Actually, it's 0.414, of course. So that's where our middle gray exposure, if we want to lock exposure down so that any contrast adjustments that we do on the top and bottom or anything like that, we want to make sure that middle gray stays locked after we get our exposure and stuff dialed in. that's where it's going to be, is at 0.414. And so anything that's using that pivot, we want to make sure that that is set, that's set in the right place. So yeah, so it would be great if you could, set this to a, set this to something and like, change the default value somewhere in a setting somewhere, which I don't think that you can. Let's look in project settings and just see if something's in there. Image scaling, color management. Yeah. No, nothing in there. So that's something I'll just have to explore offline later. It's not going to be fun for you to watch me figure that out. But what you can do, what he recommends, is when you get your fixed node tree, which I have not really settled into one yet, but I've got one that's kind of brewing here based on some videos that I've watched of his, as well as a couple of other things. But this clip, which I don't know why it's taking forever to load. There we go. If I went into, the exposure node here and set this to 0.414, I don't think that would really change anything. I'm not sure. This is primary balance. So let's change it there to 0.414, which again, I don't think is going to really change anything. This is the Cinesat, which again, I don't think is going to change anything. Secondaries, I'll go ahead and change it here, even though there's nothing on there. And I will change both of these as well. And so the idea is that when you take your fixed node tree and you're applying that every time you come to a new clip, because you've done this change before you save your node tree, before you copy it or whatever, then all your nodes are going to have this, set to 0.414, and then you don't need to think about it as much. So I'm just going to go through. Here's the grade. Make sure that it's set to 0.414. So we should. This is the only one where maybe we'll see some kind of change. Looks like there was a little bit of a change in there. It's a small adjustment from 0.43 to 0.41 or whatever. I think it was 0.435 before. Now it's 0.414. It's a small adjustment, but it's enough that you can see a little bit in the waveform. So it's important. Let's go into the group pre-clip as well. Make sure that this balancing is at 0.414. I'm going to have to do this for every group, because I've got a contrast adjustment there as well. This group Cinesat, we're going to do that, 0.414. Okay. And this is a scene that I have done some color grading to. I'm not real happy with what I did necessarily, but I just sort of learning what I'm doing, kind of playing around. Now we're going to go to the creative grade, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put our pivot back at 414. And for certain nodes, you can obviously move the pivot if the contrast adjustment that you're wanting looks better with the pivot moved. That's why it's movable. But typically, when you're doing a contrast thing, you want it set, right at where so that middle gray stays middle gray, and then just sort of your whites and blacks are moving up and down. And so that's what we're doing here. So I'll go to the timeline, and there's no look here really. Let's enable these and enable the print grain as well. And so this is putting the Kodak 2383 LUT on it. This is Cullen Kelly's film print LUT. After the film print LUT, I've got sharpening and halation, and then it's mixed together with the print film grain, and that's what we have going on in the timeline. So that should be everything there. So basically, I'm just going to have to go through every group pre-clip and change that to 414. And then any clip that I'm going to color grade, like I've done this whole scene, but I'm probably going to redo this scene. So I just need to make sure that when I start, wherever I start, that I've got that 414 set on all the nodes, particularly the ones that are going to use contrast. That's real. I think the pivot primarily or maybe only affects contrast. All right, so I'm also using the Davinci Resolve micro panel now, which I think if we go to the iPhone, yeah. So you can see here I've got the micro panel, and it comes with the quick start guide, which it's got a little bit of setup, but mostly it's telling you what every button does, because every button has the function with which it's labeled, which makes sense. But these buttons up here that you can turn, these knobs that you can also push, and that will typically reset the value. You've got the collar plus the wheel, and they do different things depending on if you are using shift up or shift down. And if you have offset on, then that does a whole other set of things. And so anyway, this goes through all the different trackball modes, all the different button modes, all the different control knobs, all the reset buttons. And so I'm going to be referring to this quite a bit as we venture into doing some color grading here. So I think what I'm going to do, and I am going to turn this light off my face so I can see what I'm doing without being blinded here. I think that I'm going to maybe get out of this scene because I've already sort of tackled this scene once, and I want to go to another outdoor scene. Let's go to the church scene and let's look at it. So that begins around in here somewhere. Oh, and that reminds me, I need to set. So I have a little application which I may or may not have told you about before. So there used to be an application called Caffeine. And what Caffeine did was it kept your system awake, so it kept your computer from going to sleep at night. Like if you're doing a file transfer or something like that, you were afraid the computer was going to go to sleep, you could keep it awake. And basically what it does is it just kind of moves the mouse every so often so that it just keeps the system awake. But it can do other things too. Like so this app that I have is called Amphetamine, which is obviously a takeoff of the idea of caffeine. And it will do other things behind the scenes as well, such as keep hard drives awake. I think Caffeine may have done that also, but Amphetamine has a lot of fine-tunable control and that sort of thing. So it sits in my taskbar up here at the top. It looks like a little cup of coffee. And I have it set so that whenever I'm running Final Cut, Logic, or Davinci Resolve, Amphetamine automatically keeps my system awake and keeps my hard drives awake. But I just bought this new hard drive that all this footage is on, so I want to make sure and add that to the Drive Alive feature. So this is giving my current session details. You'll hear a ding every hour. It's already done it once since we've been online today. That lets me know, hey, Amphetamine's still running, just so you don't forget. You can run it manually as well. You can run it on a timer, etc. I am just going to go to... It's giving me Drive Alive details, and my new drive is not on there yet. So I'm going to go to Settings and bring that over to this window so you can see it. And I'm going to go to Drive Alive, and basically most of these hard drives are not even connected right now, but they are drives that if they're connected, keep them awake. So we're just going to hit the plus sign, and we're going to add this new drive to make sure that it stays awake. There we go. And I think that all the rest of these are already, they're already on there. So I'll select that, and now that has been added. And it just wakes the drive. Every 10 seconds, it just sends like a little ping to wake the drive, and that way it keeps it from powering down and going to sleep. Obviously, if you're not using the drive, you want it to go to sleep so it doesn't overwork the drive. But there's nothing more frustrating than watching something in Final Cut, especially if you're like showing a client or trying to watch the movie from start to finish, and it hits a scene where it has to go load some stuff from a drive that's asleep, and the whole system freezes, and you get the beach ball, and you hear the drive spin up, and then you get an error, video frames dropped or whatever. So that Drive Alive keeps everything awake and ready to go. All right, so we're gonna look at the church stuff, which begins with this shot here, my buddy Joey, and all right, so I don't want to start with this shot of him because it's a closer shot. I want to start with my widest shots. Now this shot, this next shot we filmed on a jib. So it was on my stabilizer, and then the stabilizer was being held in place by the jib. And that's so we could get this boom down as she drives in. So let me put it on just the raw there. This is just the camera footage looks like. And as she drives in, the camera booms down, and we end up in just sort of a little bit below eye line, which is where the rest of the scene is going to take place. Just sort of a nice little master shot. Shot's crooked, needs to be stabilized, some things like that. So we'll take care of some of those things as well. And so first, though, I want to go get that node tree that I had from that previous scene and make sure that I have a still of it so that I can quickly copy it. And then I will make... and then we'll go into the group pre-clip settings, and we'll do some balancing, and then we'll come in at each individual shot and start doing some tweaking. But I'm going to start here because this has my sky, this has my people in the sunlight, this has stuff in the shade, and so this is actually a pretty good shot to begin on. I might start maybe a little higher up. Another shot that I'm going to want to match it to, which you can see the lighting is very different because we shot this early in the morning, the sun was moving very quickly. And I think we actually ended up shooting this a little later than this next shot I'm going to show you. So this next shot, you can see they're in the shadow of the trees. I think the sun was still behind the trees at this point. I think we shot this stuff a little earlier. And a lot of this scene up here is more in shadow, which this is kind of what, I want the scene to look like. But by the time we shot this jib shot, the sun was up, and yeah, they're just not as much shadow. There's still shadows back there, but the shadows have retreated some. So as we do the balancing in the group pre-clip node tree, I just want to make sure that balancing is working both for this master shot as well as the wide master shot. And then I probably will turn it around under the shot of Gwen. She's the main character, and just make sure that it works here as well, which it should. You've got the cement in the sun, you've got some in the shade, you've got the shaded side of the actors towards us. They're actually both under a big silk, and then you've got a little bit of sky back there. So a little bit more sunlight here than as opposed to the background of this shot where the shaded side of everything in the background is toward us. But yeah, so that just means Gwen will be brighter, as she should, because she's standing in the sun. The rest of them their shadow side is facing us. That's what it should look like. So I'm just going to be bouncing between these two wides and these two closer shots just to make sure that everything is going to be copacetic. All right, so let me go back and get that node tree. And I'll just pick, I think, pretty much any one of these clips. And I'm going to go to my active grades, and I'm just going to write. Oh, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that because I have a button for it now. And it's interesting that when I hit grab still, I had a dropout in my stream. I don't know if that was a coincidence or if it's related. All right, so now I'm on the group. Now I'm on this wide shot of the church scene. As soon as it loads, there we go. And I'm going to I want to add the nodes from that still. And is there a quick way to do that down here? Not that I see, but maybe there is. So let's look. All right, I got some copy paste buttons over here. So we'll just go to the little manual here. So starting out, there's going to be a lot of this searching through the manual, but I'm usually pretty quick at these. Copies the node grade to the buffer. Copies the clip grade to the buffer. Paste the clip grade. Oh, so that's one thing that I could do is go, let's see, I can go previous clip. So I can just go back until I'm in the scene. So I'm back on this shot where I was there. Okay. And then I'm in the clip area. And so I'm going to hit shift up and copy. Let me just make sure that was right. It was shift up and copy. Copy, paste, where is it? Control buttons, top group, left group. Oh, copy. Shift up, copy. Copies the node grade. No, I want to just hit copy. I want to copy the whole clip grade, okay? And then I'll go back to the shot that I want to work on, which is here, and I'll hit paste, and paste the grade. Hey, very nice. Except what I want to do is basically reset all these nodes. So let's do that. I wonder if I can do that all at once. And there's reset buttons here. Reset lift, reset gamma, reset gain. And I'm thinking that there's a way to just reset the node using the reset buttons. Reset buttons. It's just going to reset lift, gamma, and gain. It's not going to reset everything. I thought there was a button to do that. Oh, reset. Yeah, there's a button that just says reset. That's control button on the left group. Reset. This key resets the grade of the current node. Shift up resets the selected palette if you're using like qualifiers. Shift down resets all grades and nodes on the clip. Okay, I don't think that's what I want, because I think if I hit shift down reset, I think it's going to just change this to one single node with nothing in it. Yes, which is not what I want. So I'm going to undo. Undo again. There we go. And so I've got all these nodes selected. And so I think what I want to do is just hit reset, which is going to reset the selected node. And it literally only did the one that's in red. So I can just do, I'll just do each node. I'll reset that one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay, those should all be reset now. So this should basically just have my group pre-clip on it. Well, one thing that I do want to do before I move forward is change that pivot point to 414. So I'm going to select these nodes here, and I'm going to do 0.414, and I'm going to go to the next node, and 0.414. Now that's interesting. Until I hit return, it did not accept the 414, so, oh yeah, it didn't change any of those. Okay, so clip exposure, 0.414, enter. Next node, 0.414, next node, 0.414, enter. Next node, 0.414, enter. Next node, 0.414, enter. Next node, 0.414, enter. 0.414, enter. 0.414, enter. 0.414, enter. 0.414, enter. Okay, so that should be all of them now. Excellent. All right, so now then I'm going to want to save this as, I'm actually going to make a new stills gallery, new still album, and we're going to call it Fixed Node Tree. Okay. And so now I'm going to grab a still, but I'm going to call this I'm going to change the label, and I'm going to put the date on it, 2024-09-02. Goodness, it's September already. And I'll put the time in also, 14:35. Okay, oh, and I don't have my keycaster on. I still don't have it on. Oh, it's on, but now I need to enable it. 1 second. Because I'd like you to be able to see everything that I'm doing, if possible. There you go. Now you can see it. Okay. So I don't think that's going to transmit anything from the Blackmagic control panel, which would be awesome. But it is going to transmit from the keyboard. One thing I could do that would be kind of cool is I could set my iPhone up. This is not really doing anything for you back here. So what if we set it up over so you could see what my hands are doing on the micro control panel? Why don't we do that? A little tabletop tripod here. It should work. And put it like there, right there. Let's move this. I don't know why I didn't think about this until just now, but let's see. Let's do it like this. Okay. Let me get the iPhone previewed up in OBS here. Where's my cursor? There it is. By the way, this is a feature in your Mac settings that your cursor gets bigger if you shake it. So if you lose your, like I've got this, you can see how tiny it is on the screen, and I just get it lost sometimes. I can't find it even when I'm moving it around. I don't see it, but if I can. It's just in your default Mac settings. Okay, I'm gonna get the iPhone previewed up. There we go. I have to move my coffee. Put this right here. So that's not bad. It's out of the way. Let's move this down a little bit. There we go. Move this back a smidge. Tilt it up. Once again, the riveting content. This is why you're here. Take it up just a little bit. There we go. All right, now you can see what I'm doing, but it is upside down, so don't worry. We'll get that fixed. All right, so here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it here. Turn that on. Great. And now then, there's a rotate. Excellent. If I hold down Shift, does it pop? It does. Excellent. All right. And just going to shrink it down a little. Don't worry, you'll be able to see this in just a second. 1 second. Oh, actually, let's leave that over there. And let's turn that off for when we're using this. Okay. And then let's take this and we can shoot it up right there. Actually, this we can move down. We don't need to see the keyboard. Okay. All right, that's pretty cool. So here we'll go to that. Ah, how cool is that? And so now you can see what I'm doing with the wheels, what buttons I'm pushing. That's kind of cool, right? Anyone? 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 Oh, I can put my coffee back where it was. That's even better. Okay. So, what are we doing? Okay, so I've got an empty grade now. This is an empty node tree on this clip, and I've saved that as a fixed node tree still over here. So now we're ready to begin playing around with this a little bit. So, the first thing I want to do though is I want to go through, I did that already. I set all these pivots. So next node. Yeah, okay. I set all the pivots to 414. I'm going to go to the group pre-clip. So all these shots are grouped, and I've grouped them mostly by location, but also for the outdoor stuff, sometimes I'm able to use the ND and sometimes not. And so the ones without the ND need a little fix to look like the ND stuff. So those are broken out into two separate groups, with ND, without ND. But basically everything's grouped together. And so when you have clips grouped together, you have group color grading that you can do. So you can color grade the group, and then you can color grade the individual clips beyond that. And then you can also color grade the timeline as a whole. And what's beautiful about the grouping is that you can do grading pre your clip adjustments and post your clip adjustments. So the way I'm using it is in my group pre-clip, I've got my negative grain, because if you're filming actual film, you'll get grain from your negative in your camera, and that'll be, that's built into the film. So that's one of the first things that goes down. And I'm going to do my basic balance that's going to work kind of for the whole scene here. Then I'm going to go into my clip, and I'm going to tweak that balance and do things that are specific to this clip, secondaries, power windows, and things like that. Then I'm going to go into the group post clip, and I'm going to do the creative grade, how I want the scene to actually look. And again, that's going to be for this whole group of clips. And then if I need to tweak shot by shot the creative grade, I go back to the clip, and down here at the very end, I've got a clip grading node, which will be tweaks for the creative grade once I've added that. Then at the timeline level, this is affecting the entire movie. I have the print film LUT, a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of halation, and then this film print grain. And these two nodes over here are not really doing anything. They're just sort of placeholders there. So so that's what we're working on. That's how I'm doing this. So I'm going to start in the group pre-clip, and we're going to work on some balancing. And like I said, I'm going to use this wide shot, the similar wide shot that's taken a little later in the morning when there's a little more shadow, and then sort of the two reverse shots of Gwen and then of Susan and Max and the others. So let's just start here. So right away, let me turn my grade on so I can see sort of what our starting point is. It shouldn't be that different. Basically, the only thing that it's done is apply the stuff in the timeline, which actually for balancing and stuff, I don't even really want on. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these three nodes here, and I'm going to hit disable. That's going to turn those nodes off, and this was selected also, which is the print grain, and so it turned that off as well. So with that off, you see this looks basically, when I set this just to the raw, you see it basically looks the same. The only thing really that's on at all right now is the negative grain. The negative grain is currently turned on, and it's not changing color, and I've adjusted it so that it does not make any noticeable luma or gamma difference at all. So we're going to start on this balance node. And once again, I'm going to make sure my pivot is 0.414. Okay. And here we go. So let's start doing some balancing. So let me pop my scopes out because you want to be able to see those also. And so I'll put those right up here. So now you can see, and I'll shift this gallery so we get a little more screen space there. And you don't really need to see the node because we're just working in this one node, so I'll just move the scopes over the node there. I guess I can pull these nodes down so you can at least see there. All right, and I typically been doing parade and waveform. There we go. This way, I mean, these are basically showing me the exact same thing. The parade is a waveform scope. It's just broken out into the RGB. All right. Once again, I'm really sorry for all the dropouts. I've got to figure out what's going on. I had it dialed in when I was streaming only to Twitch, but now that I'm streaming also to YouTube, I'm using Restream, and I haven't got everything worked out. Plus, there's an issue with Comcast or Xfinity where suddenly my upload speed will just drop to 0 for like a second, and that'll obviously break the stream. And there's not really anything I can do about that. So, all right. Anyway, so now you ought to be able to see the scopes, see me, and see my hands on the wheels. And I'm going to take my lighting down to my Resolve lighting for just a second. Okay, that's looking good. All right. So let's do some balancing. So right away, you can look at the clip and see that the exposure is pretty hot. So first thing I'm probably going to do on this clip actually is just go to my raw settings and make sure that those are where I want them for the scene. So I'm going to go look at the comparable shot, which is 2 clips over. It's a little closer. It's on the ground. It's a stabilizer, like Steadicam style shot. And there's still hot spots. So you see Bonnie's face here is still bright, but everyone else is kind of in shadow. So there is some bright spots, but we're kind of exposing for the shadow. And I can see here that my settings, color temperature is 5900, my tint is 10, my exposure is down a third, and my ISO is 320. So I'm going to go here to this opening church shot, and right away I see my ISO is 400. So let's set that to 320 so that it matches. All right, already that's helped. Already that's brought our exposure down, right? The color temperature of the scene up there is 5900 for whatever reason, so I guess we could set ours to match. And then the tint was 10. Set this to 10. That should make it a little more red. And then the exposure here is down 2/3. We could probably take it down even more. What I'm going to compare visually right now is kind of Bonnie's face. It's just kind of blown out white here, especially if we were to zoom in on it. I can see that her face is blown out. Just for laughs, I'm going to go down 3 stops, which is going to be way too dark, but it's actually not that dark. I mean, it is. You can see all the waveform information over here is crushed, but you can see Bonnie's face has detail in it. It's not completely blown out and lost. So I do have the detail there that I can get to. So my exposure I want to be somewhere in between here. So let's just try -1.5. And her face is pretty blown out, but I'm kind of looking at just the hot spots on the pavement and the shadow of the grass. And let me hit Z, which will take me to the snap to zoom in. And I'm going to turn on the qualifier tool here, because now you see the circles and the scopes. Anything that I'm hovering over, it circles that in the scope, so I know exactly where this exact point is. I know exactly where it is in the scope. So like if I go up to the sky, I can see the rings of the sky there. And this is a great example to show how these 2 scopes are showing you the same thing. The parade is in a parade, one after the other, red, green, blue, whereas the waveform is showing you red, green, and blue. You can see the red, green, and blue separated over there, but it's showing on top of each other, so that when something is normalized, something that is white or gray or black, when it is normalized, then you'll get a lot of white, you'll get a lot of overlap. And so when we're balancing, that's what we're going for, is trying to get anything that is a neutral tone, anything that's white or gray or black, to be white in the waveform on the right. Okay, so in fact, in balancing, I probably could just use the waveform, but I like to have them both up. This is pretty much the 2 nodes that I'm going to use. This also gives me a chance to sort of run the cursor around the screen and sort of see where my values are and everything. So if I go down to the shade down here, I can see it's in the upper lows or the low mids. If I go to the white on the van, I can see it's up near the top. If I go to the hot spots in their faces, I can see it's high mids. If I go to Susan's face, which is in shadow, I see it's sort of low mids. So everything's kind of where you would sort of expect. So I think this is probably a pretty good exposure setting on the raw set. And it's something that I'm going to be able to match a lot easier when I go back to this shot. Even though there's not quite as much sunlight in this shot, you see there is still sunlight here. And Susan's face is still, sort of low mids, and Bonnie's face here in the sun is still on the high mids. So I think this is going to be a little bit closer starting point. And already looking better. Another thing that's going to need to be done with this particular shot, which I'm not super worried about now because I'm in the group pre-clip node, but it will need to be straightened and it will need to be stabilized because this is a stabilizer shot that's coming down and it might need a little help. Even though it was on a mechanical stabilizer, it might need a little digital stabilization as well. But we'll do that when we get to the clip stuff. So right now, I just want to look at balancing. So let's find something to balance, like the top of this van. And already I can see that it's not blown out. So it's not over the top. It's not crushed up against the top. And all three circles, my red, green, and blue, are even with each other. And if you look at the the right waveform, you'll see that it's basically a white circle because they're all right on top of each other. So that's pretty good. I'm going to look at the gray seats inside the van, and I can see they're just a little warm, right? So the blue's a little higher than the green's a little higher than the red. There's a little bit of a slant going up from left to right on that parade. Again, you can see it on the waveform down there as well. If I go to the shadow under the van, this one is very heavily tilted towards blue, which you can see on both waveforms. You can actually see the shape of this shadow. You see the dark collection of pixels there in the scopes, and you can see it especially on the right, and you see how separated it is. So that's something that we're going to think about maybe normalizing. But the thing is, shadows outside are bluer. So the sun bounces around. Sunlight is very blue. We don't think of it as blue. We think of it as orange because it's a bright ball of light out in the sky. But it's actually a very blue light. And that is why in the shadow, things are much bluer. So like when I sample the front of this church, which is clearly white, you'll see in the scopes, it's very blue. And the thing is, it probably should be because it's in the shadow. So the shaded side of the van should be blue, and it is. But the sunlit side of the van should be white. And this is white, but it's also, you can see it's going off the scale. So we're probably going to have to bring the top down just a little. Also things that should be black, such as the van tires. They look pretty evenly black, and they're near the bottom, but they're not totally at the bottom. The church windows should be black. Maybe this wrought iron should be black. And they're fairly even, but not really down towards the bottom. You got some shadow down here, like in the tailpipe. That should be black. It's pretty close to the bottom. Shadow here under this van. So I think the first thing we need to do is bring our lift down, because you can see all of this empty space in our scopes here, where we can bring the bottom down some, and it's not even touching the bottom yet. So I'm going to use the wheels here, and I'm going to use the leftmost wheel, which is the lift, and I'm on this balancing node here, and that's all I'm doing is just balancing. I'm not trying to get any creative grade. I'm not trying to get any kind of look. I just want to make sure that it's properly color balanced before we go into doing all the creative stuff. So I'm going to just use the wheel on the outside, which is going to bring all the values of the lift down, the red, green, and the blue, luma, everything, and it's going to make the bottom darker. It's going to take the bottom towards the bottom. So what it does is it leaves the top pinned in place and pulls the bottom down. Okay. So next I'm going to look at the gain, and as I move the gain, it leaves the bottom in place and moves the top up and down. And then what gamma does is it moves the middle. So the top and the bottom are in place, and the gamma is going to move, and so you're going to see things get brighter and darker, but your hot spots are not going to get any brighter, and your black is not going to get any blacker, because that's set by your lift and your gain. That's basically how your lift, gamma, gain tools work, and that's why they're the three big center wheels in your primaries. And I'll bring the primaries up over here so you can see exactly what we're doing. So not a big change, 0.02 change in the lift, but I mean, you saw the big change that we've done already just by adding just a little bit of lift adjustment. Okay, now that did make a lot of things dark and contrasty and crunchy, but we're not done. We're just bringing the lift down so that we just don't have quite as much empty space down here at the bottom of the scope. So we're getting our things that should be black, like these tires, any of the shadow down here. This stuff should be kind of kissing the bottom line, and now it is. So now we want to find our hottest spots. And the hot spot here is going to be the front of the van, particularly this place back here that I noticed is in bright sunlight, and it's actually blowing out. It's actually going over the top. Again, in actuality, a white object in the sun will blow out. If you see somebody wearing a white shirt in a movie, it's not actually white. If you were to see it in person, you would see that it is a light gray or it is a ivory. It's either stained with tea, or they just buy, a light blue or a light gray or a light ivory, depending on wardrobe's choice. But because white is always going to blow out, it's just going to do that. This van was white, but it was free. So, so it gives us, it's really not bad. It is blowing out on this door, but the other stuff like the top of the van is in a good place up at the top. The hood of the van is not really blowing out, so that's kind of amazing. This hot spot here, this sparkle on the front bumper. I mean, honestly, that should be blowing out. This pillow is blowing out. I don't know if it's a white pillowcase or what, but it's blowing out. Susan's back is getting close to being too bright. That's something that I would probably want to bring down. But that's going to come down when we adjust some of our gamma, I think. So with our pivot correctly set at 0.414, that's middle gray for ACES CCT, which is the color space that we're color grading in. If you have any questions about any of these terms that I'm throwing out, let me know. With our pivot correctly set at middle gray, it should keep our exposure, the things that are correctly exposed, it should keep those in place, which is going to be anything that's right here around 414 on these on the scope. So, well, actually, I guess that's not technically true. Let me go back and look at that YouTube video real quick. So the scopes are actually in 10-bit, 423, yeah. That was my old area code when I lived in East Tennessee, so I should be able to remember that. So it's actually 423 on the scopes. I wonder if we can put a marker at 423 somehow. No, of course not. Why would we be able to do that? That would be too useful. Style, ratio, quality, low pass filter. No. Okay. So we're just going to have to kind of eyeball it, but it's going to be basically right in between. We've got 512 and 384. It's going to be right here, sort of in the middle of those. So anything that's in the middle of those, which is, let's go find some stuff that's in the middle of those. Okay, so like the front of Lisa's jacket here. Lisa's the first one of this group of two. The front of her jacket. Sam's sleeve is kind of close to that. Max's sleeve is, well, it's under that. The shadow side of her face is getting close to it. The shadow side of Susan's face is just under it. So that's letting us know sort of where middle gray is. It's going to be somewhere just above this. So if I do a gamma adjustment down, her face is going to get darker. If I do a gamma adjustment up, her face is going to get lighter. If I do a contrast adjustment, since her face is below middle gray, if I lessen the contrast so that it's not quite so crunchy, then her face should get a little lighter. If I up the contrast, then her face should get darker. So knowing where that pivot is in my image is going to help me when I go to make a contrast adjustment. So so far all we've done is lift. As far as the gain, I think the gain is the top is in a really good setting. So at this point, I want to do a gamma adjustment now. So we're gonna move the gamma, and so yeah, because I do want it to be bright sunny day. This is super frustrating that you make a little move and then have to wait for it to render, but that's where we're at. I'm going to take it way up just so I can kind of see what it looks like up too far. Yeah, Yeah, it's not bad. Let's find something gray. Again, the seats in here, they should be a little blue because they're in the shade. This should be a little blue. It is. The pavement is all, the pavement in the sunlight's a little warm and the pavement in the shadows a little blue. I think color-wise, I think we're actually really good. I don't feel the need to really monkey with the color. You see the color banding on the right side of the image over here, but again, you've got so much shadow over here, and that's what's all broken up, is all the shadow in the image is separated out because it's all very blue, which it should be. So that's all right. Here's something that's gray, and it's pretty good. Looks like we need to come up on the green actually just a little bit in the gamma, which is going to be going down and to the left just a little. So I'm going to adjust this until that bag is evenly gray. And it's crazy because I'm moving it. The image looks terrible. Oh, I've got to move my mouse. I see. Okay, so let's. I want to reset the gamma, but only the color adjustments that I just did. I'd like to keep the Luma adjustment that I did. So we'll go to trackball mode. No, we're going to use the reset button because we're going to reset gamma, but only. Okay, if I press reset gamma, that resets both the RGB and level changes. If I shift up and hit reset gamma, that resets only the RGB changes and leaves the level untouched. So I'm going to shift up and hit reset gamma. And so my Luma gamma adjustments are still there. But, again, you can see that down here. It's still at 0.01. But my RGB gamma adjustments have been reset. So I'm going to do this again, move it a little bit towards green, and just sort of keep moving it on this until that green is even, and it's pretty close. I'm going to do it just a little more. I think that's good. I think we got enough green now in the middle of the image. I think everything is good. I think the green in the bottom, I think we're going to go just a little bit of green in the bottom because it's if you look at the right scope, they're not entirely evenly spaced. I don't really know if they need to be. I want it to go towards blue. It doesn't necessarily need to go towards blue-green. Just looking at it with my eyes, I think that it looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to call this balanced for now. Again, I'm still learning what I'm doing, so if you see me doing something horribly wrong, jump in. All right, but it is too contrasty, so I'm going to adjust the contrast. And with all the backlight stuff they put on this, they didn't put any for these knobs. The beauty is there's 12 of them, and they're separated into groups of 4, and the idea is that you would just know them, and you would just reach up and grab them. But I don't know them yet, and so I need just a little bit of light. And you'd think with all the things that I have going on here that I would be able to see. I think I'm going to turn this, this is my ring light here. I'm going to turn it on. We'll make sure that it's the orangest possible, and I'm going to turn it way down. No, that's the wrong way. There we go. That's down as far as it'll go, and then I'll turn it down so it's out of my eyes. Oh, there we go. And I'll just tip it away from the screen, but just enough where I can read this white text. Okay, contrast right here. And probably you can see that maybe a little better, maybe not. Yes, no? Okay. So contrast is right here. And I'm just going to turn the contrast down. I'm watching the knob go down. And I want to see the adjustments made. There's very minuscule adjustments being made. I'm not seeing the scopes move at all. Let me make a big adjustment. There we go. Now I'm seeing some scopes move. And I'm seeing everything kind of move towards the middle. So I've gone too much. If I push it, it resets it back to 1. That's pretty cool. So now I'm going to take it down, not quite so much, but enough that I can kind of see some change here. Okay. I just feel like, man, there's like, and maybe it's something that I need to do with this shot in particular, where I'm kind of adjusting some things in the middle. And maybe it's a log wheel thing that we need to do. So I know I can just go and click on the log wheel panel, but there is a way to do it here. I think it's shift up offset. Shift up and offset, yep. Shift up offset, and it immediately opens the log panel. So the log wheels differ from the primary wheels in that with lift gamma gain, you have the lift is moving the bottom, the gain is moving the top, and then the gamma is moving everything in between the top and bottom without the top and bottom moving. And then offset would be moving everything altogether. And it's mostly for color. It will affect, obviously, luma values if you move all the colors up, right? But log works differently. So if I'm messing around with the shadows, it's only doing things in the shadows. If I'm messing around in the midtones, it's only doing things in the midtones. And if I'm messing around in the highlights, it's only doing things in the highlights. Everything else is protected and it doesn't move. But I'm also looking here and seeing in the log wheels that, again, it's just RGB adjustments. But if I move the rings, let me move the midtone ring in a big way. It moves all three RGB adjustments together, and you get essentially, a luma adjustment. So I'm going to undo that. There we go. So what happens if I take the midtones down? So that way it brings the midsection down without affecting the bottom and the top, which is different than the gamma, because the gamma will move everything between 0 and 100% without moving where 0 and 100% are. Midtones will move only things in the middle. So I just want to make sure there's no breaking or anything that happens when I do that. But so far, everything's looking pretty good. So I'm going to go forward 2 clips and look at this clip. And again, this clip, which is in the same group, I think. Yes. This clip, which is in the same group, also is looking pretty good. So let's look at, there's my amphetamine reminder that's been going for an hour. So here's this pillow that was blown out. We can see now that it is white, and that is why it was blown out. So that's to be expected. Now that it's in shadow, we see that it's very blue, which is as expected. The side of the van is in shadow, it's blue, which is to be expected. The side of the church is in shadow, it's blue, which is to be expected. Susan's face is right there at exposure, where in the previous clip, her face was a little bit below exposure. So like Max's face is a little below exposure. That's pretty much where Susan's was. So we may choose to bring Susan's face down a little bit. Bonnie's face is overexposed, which is sort of where it was in that previous shot. So we're getting close to these things, looking similar. We're not working at the clip level yet. We're still working at the group pre-clips. We're doing the whole group at once with these adjustments that we're making. So we're just sort of seeing how they affect everything. So now let's go and look at 2 more shots ahead and look at this shot of Susan. All right, and again, I can just kind of hover over and see Max is really right there at exposure. Susan is right there at exposure. Lisa's jacket is, underexposed. It's a dark green color, so that's to be expected. The pavement down here might be a little warm. I mean, a little bright. I think probably for this clip, I might bring just everything down. And this is a very short scene, but so let me go 2 more clips forward. Okay. Everything's looking good. Anything that's white is blue because it's in shadow. It's going to be really hard to find something that's just white, because even the things, there's lots of pure white things in the shot, but none of them would be pure white. Maybe this cloud back here. Of course, it's almost blowing out, so it makes sense that it's going towards blue. And this shot of Cynthia turning around. Her face should be just below exposure, and it is. Her face should be at exposure. It's actually a little above. So I'm gonna move the gamma point. I'm gonna go. So shift offset again takes me back to my primaries. And I'm going to move the gamma down looking at these close-up shots, and then I'm going to go back and look at my wide shots, because I can always raise the gamma or the midpoint or whatever again in the wide shots to the clip level. But I just feel like the stuff that's underexposed, like the shaded side of her face here, that's okay. But even this is reading at above exposure. This is reading like way above exposure. It's like a little too hot. This is expectedly topping out. I mean, it's a white van. What do you want? So I'm gonna bring my gain down just a smidge. Just a little more. All right, so that way I can kind of keep this stuff from clipping out. I'm going to take the green out of the bottom. Just barely nudging it. And I'm going to check my raw settings on this clip too. 320. No, it's the same as the rest of the scene. Okay. All right, this is all coming along. That's better. That's better. Okay. This should be. I feel like this should be darker. Let's take our lift down some more. Getting my skin kind of where I want it. I'm gonna get these blacks down towards the bottom some more. It's like I'm crushing everything down to the bottom, but the bottom's not going down. Another way to do that would be with curves. Show me a little histogram down here. I can just bring it up like this, which will just crunch the bottom down. I don't hate that. Let's look at this hot spot here. The glistening is kind of going off the top of the chart, but everything else is below the very top. This is good. This is low mids, which is good. I'm going to put a power window on her face, but I don't want this to be too hot. We'll bring the gamma down just a little. And it's just like such small little finesse adjustments. I don't know, it feels too dark. I don't have like bright light on her face. I'm trying to use this hot spot on her nose. So maybe we should put the gamma back up where it was. Just a little bit overexposure. Provide some better contrast to her face there a little bit. I'm going to just up the contrast just a little bit. All right, that's pretty well balanced. I'm going to see how much that wrecked our wide shots. A little contrasty, but I don't hate it. Bonnie's face still has detail. Susan's face is still fine. Whites aren't totally blowing out. Blacks, I'll do something on the clip level to probably raise this up a little bit. In fact, the exposure here probably could come up just a little bit. What if we put this at 0 instead of negative 0.33? You can see that raised everything up. Pretty good. Actually kind of liked it where it was, didn't you? Didn't you? Maybe negative 0.25. Yeah, I like that. And let's go back to the jib shot. Okay, really contrasty. So I'm going to have to deal with this one on a clip-by-clip basis. I may even have to break it out of this group node. But I mean, it's balanced. The color looks good. Color looks really good. So the only thing that we haven't really done is Gwen's shot, which will be probably best. This is probably the best one to look at for that. Honestly, I think this looks really good. Color is nice and balanced looking. Contrast is really good. Highlights in her face are above exposure. Shadows are below exposure. You know, top of her nose is sort of right down the middle. Sort of what you would expect. Or she's maybe just a little overexposed, but she's in the sun. She should be a little brighter. Plus, she's our main character, right? So, if anything, I would put a power window around this just to bring her down even more. You can see how bright the sun was, right? So that's one thing I don't really care about this shot is how hot the hot spots are back here in the background. But I can handle that with secondaries at the clip level. So I'm going to say, let's look at this one last clip here at the very end. And then we'll go look at the very first clip with Joey. And, okay, her hair is too hot. We're going to have to do something about that. You see, she's not standing under the silk anymore, right? So I'm going to have to deal with some tweaking on this clip, the clip level. But again, colors look pretty good. If anything, it looks a little underexposed. Let's do negative 2/3 instead of negative 1. That feels like a better starting point. So again, it's going to make her hair even more blown out than it was a minute ago. But I think we can deal with that at the clip level when we go through doing and tweaking each clip. So let's look at the shot of Joey that opens the scene. And again, looks really good. Contrast is good. Color's good. The only thing is his blue shirt is blowing out too much. But again, I can deal with that at the clip level. So I'm not too worried about that. If I go over it with my qualifier tool there, you can see in the hottest spots there, it's up near the top, but it's not blowing out. So there's still detail. There's still color. You see the rings slant up towards blue, which means it's a blue color, which is a blue shirt. So that's correct. The stuff that's sort of correctly exposed is just like a little bit overexposure because it's a light colored shirt. Stuff that's in the shadows is centered around just below exposure. So I'm pretty sure with the qualifier, I can tweak this out a little bit. Maybe bring the gain down just a smidge on this particular clip. Okay, so I feel like what I've done at the group pre-clip level, I'm very happy with. I don't see the need to do much else. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to clip mode. And I'm going to get my, whoa, sorry. I'm going to get my gallery. And I've got my fixed node tree here. So I'm going to, can I copy this grade? Well, what I can do is I can apply this grade. Okay, because the nodes are all empty. Well, they are supposed to be. Oh, I bet it applied raw settings as well. Let me undo that. Yes, it changed all the raw settings also. Okay, no problem. I can change those back, although it's very strange that that is what it would do. Let me close my nodes for my scopes for a second, just so I can see the nodes. So I'm going to enable this node here. This is from something that I did before that I don't really care to use again. So I'm going to reset this node grade. So this is what every clip pretty much looks like when you first come to it. It just has one empty node. And if I apply this grade, it is going to change my camera raw settings. which, professionally speaking, is stupid. Apply active layer. Wonder what that means. Let's find out. Let's click it and see. Apply active layer. Okay, it did the same thing. It applied the nodes and changed my. So I'm going to hit undo again. So another thing I could do is append node graph. Okay, that did not change my camera raw settings. That did add all of those nodes to my node tree, and kept the original node that's in there that I don't want anymore. So I've got a delete button, so I'll delete that node, and now I can clean up my node graph. Boom. So once again, if I turn this, if I turn all of these off, so we hit disable, turn all those nodes off, there should be no visible change in my clip, because there's all these nodes are currently empty. They currently have no, the only thing that they have on them is changing the pivot for the contrast to 0.414. That's the only change that any of these have built into them. Even this outside node, it's just an outside node. It doesn't have anything. There's no window here, so it's not getting any data or anything. There's nothing going on, which is what I want. Great. So now, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, and that's going to copy the grade for this. I'm going to go to my next clip. Oh, and I'd already pasted it on this one. Yeah. So if I go to this one and I hit paste, then it's going to paste just that node. Okay, so that's not what I want. Let's undo that. So I'll go back to my previous clip where I know that this is empty, and we're going to look at the manual once again. We're going to look at copy paste. Copy copies the clip grade to the buffer, not just the node grade, the clip grade. Oh, I hit Command V instead of using the paste button, didn't I? So I'll go to there. Okay, great. And if I just hit paste, interesting. Maybe I didn't copy the right thing. Maybe I don't know how to read. Copies the clip grade to the buffer, not just the node grade. Let me close my gallery here so that we're working with this clip here. I'm working in my node tree, and I hit copy. That should copy the entire grade. And then when I go to my next clip and I hit paste, it should paste the whole grade, but it doesn't. Oh, this is interesting though. Shift up and paste. Paste the selected grade from the gallery, which in this case is, and you saw the image change only because the node that was in there, I guess, had something to it. So let me undo that. And let me look at, oh, again, it's changing the raw settings. That is really frustrating. Most of the raw settings are going to be this 5900. So I guess this is what I want to do is take a still of this. So I'll grab still. Let me go to my galleries. And let me change label here and call this FN for fixed node 2024 0902 1526. So that's fixed node, today's date, and the current time. I'll leave that as my selected still. So even with the gallery closed, now when I shift up and paste, when I go to a clip, it'll paste from that. Okay. So now I can make whatever changes I want and then just kind of paste along the way, or I can maybe copy this and paste. I'm still not sure why it didn't. Maybe because it wasn't an empty node. I don't know. Okay, so first, is there any crop, zooming, rotation, anything that I need to do? I don't see anything. So let's go to clip exposure, and actually think I want to bring the lift up a little. Let me pop my scopes out again for you. I think for this particular clip, I want to bring my lift up a little bit and my gain down. All right. Not my gain, that was my gamma. Gain actually is pretty good. There's a white truck driving by. Gain can actually go up, I guess. That does look better. Stretching the middle out a lot better. Pull that gamma down some more. So we're getting some tearing right in through here. Not sure how or why that is happening. See that right there? Why it do that? Some weird saturation stuff that's going on. So one thing that I might do is go into a Luma versus Sat. I'm trying to hover here. Luma versus Sat, okay. And so what I can do is I can just sample this area, and it gives me controls, where that's going to be there. And I can just bring the saturation down there just a little bit. That way it's not affecting anything above or below. Except, let me undo that. That's what I really want. Let me undo making those. This is what I really want, is to sample that. That's pretty close, I guess. Just bring that saturation down a little bit. And I'm going to grab this and hold down shift and see if that'll, no, that doesn't move it evenly to the right, but it's okay. It's evening that out just a little better, but still kind of strange, isn't it? Okay, this is without that node. This is with the node, so it's better. It's better. We're getting there. I'm going to go to my HDR wheels, actually. We're still dealing with exposure in this node. The HDR wheels, first of all, what's interesting is they have an exposure and saturation wheel. There's a global over here, and then you have 3 wheels that are shown here. There's actually 6 total wheels besides the global, but there's only 6 that are shown: the dark, the shadow, and the light. Each of them has an exposure and saturation. So I can expose and saturate globally, but I can also go into these sort of smaller adjusted areas and do a little bit of exposure and saturation just right there in those places. This is also a good place to do color temperature changes, apparently, from what I hear from Colin Kelly. Not going to change any color temperature, at least not on this, but I do want to adjust the exposure of this particular area here. So if you see this section right here, I'll zoom in so you can see that. You'll see right here above the wheels, there's actually 6 wheels, and see how we're only seeing 3 of them? There's another one down here beyond darks, which is blacks, and then there's another one here that's highlights and whites to the right. So I'm going to go to probably the highlight wheel. Highlight specular, actually, it's called, and the black one is called black, yeah. So I'm going to go, I don't think to the specular. I think it's going to be to the highlight. And now what I'm interested in seeing is I have 3 trackballs down here, and do these 3 trackballs now line up with the light, highlight, and specular? So I'm just going to make a wild movement so that I can see. So I'm going to, here, this should be affect the light, and it does. So I'm going to undo that, and this should affect the highlight. And you notice his shirt, I told you it's probably the highlights, and his shirt just went right down. The hotness of it just went right down. It was perfect. And I don't know that there's much else that I really want to do to that. I might up the saturation just a smidge in the highlights since we took the color down. Actually, it seems like I should add saturation by taking it down, but I might take it down a little more even. Okay, and now I will take the lights down just a little, just so it ramps a little. I don't know, I might take the lights up a little, actually. We're just getting, this is all kind of getting crunchy over here, and taking the lights up, took that up a little bit, so that's kind of nice. All right, so again, I'll disable this node. This is the way it's coming in with the group pre-clip grade. These are with the clip balance adjustments. Might take this saturation on the lights down a little, since I took it down a little. So let's take this saturation down just a smidge. Looks like his face is kind of oversaturated. Let's see where that is. Something crazy going on with this mouse. All right, and then I'm going to go back to the standard configuration here, light, shadow, darks, and I've taken the, oh, that's highlight, light, shadow. So I'm going to take the shadows down just a smidge too. All right, this is not bad. I think this looks pretty good. I'm going to change this real quick just to a vector scope. All right, and I'm just going to put it on his face. And it's pretty much along that line. It's just a little to the left, which means it's just a little green. Is that what that means? So I'm going to take the lights towards red just a little bit. I'm going to go back to my primaries, I think. I'm going to take the gamma here just a little towards magenta. All right, so I'm going to go to the next clip. The previous clip. All right, I'm going to hover over his hot spot on his arm here. And I'm going to take some of the red out of that, actually. Just take it straight down towards blue-green a little. Oh, I shouldn't be making color adjustments in this node. Sorry, I'm still learning. Still learning. Color balancing I should be doing over here in this color balance node, but too late. I've already done it. So, all right, clip contrast. Let's take the contrast down just a little. Taking it down so little, I can't tell that it's done anything. There we go. Now I can see a difference. That's probably good. I'm just going to go back to this clip exposure again and go back to the HDR knobs. And just do a little bit on the global exposure here. Just bring it down just a touch. Okay. Bring this highlight back up just a hair because it does look like it is crunching. Hang on. And the real thing is, like, you want to see this playing in motion too, which this is not going to play smoothly because there's so much on the grade. But just this blue color over here. I'm just going to have to get that in some secondaries. So let's get into some secondaries on this clip, and I'm going to zoom in here. And I'm going to get this color. So I'm on my first secondary. And got clip face. I guess if I did add parallel node, it would do that. Okay, interesting. Except I don't want that. I want this to go there. I want this to go up here. And I'll add an outside node to that. Great. And we'll call this one shirt blue. Be doing some winder stuff here. Okay, so we'll start with the shirt blue. We'll go to our qualifiers. I really just want to get this weird blueness that's going right there, and I want to see what my highlight looks like. So I hit the highlight button and wait. Okay, this is showing me what all is selected. And I'm going to zoom back out because I just want just the shirt, and then also I can put a window around this also. But I want to get it to not even the shirt, just really that really super saturated blue color. So I want it to be primarily stuff that is of higher saturation. Okay, there we go. Let's get into it. And primarily stuff that is in the brighter luminance value. Nice soft roll-offs here. All right. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere that looks like something. All right, so now I'm going to open this up a little more, I guess. And basically I want it to be everything that's fully saturated, which is not much. And then, yeah, I just kind of want it, just the stuff that's getting overly saturated like that. And I want to, so if I do shift highlight, that changes the mode. Yeah. All right, so now I want to clean my white. Okay, that's better. I'll clean the black. It's too much. Okay. In out ratio, more towards white. That's pretty good. All right, let's change our highlight mode again. Okay, so now I'm grabbing just the super blue stuff. I'm actually going to bring the top luminance down a little. Get rid of that. To get rid of this white right here. And maybe just come down a little more. Okay, so I think that I have qualified. I think that I got what I wanted. And so now I'm going to turn highlight mode off. Okay, so I have what I want. So now if I go to my primaries, I'm just going to rank my gamma down. I'm just going to rank my gamma down and make sure that I've separated out what I want. So there's my gamma going way down. And there it is. Perfect. Got what I wanted. So I'm just reset the gamma. So what I'm wanting to do is just take the saturation down and really just sort of in a specific area. So I'm going to go to actually my curves. I'm still going to be on this Luma versus Sat curve. And I'm going to hold down Shift and tap. Holding down Shift when you tap creates a point without moving the line, supposedly. I'm going to do it again here. And then see how this is like punching up at the top here? I think that's where that blue is coming in. So that's really what I'm aiming for, is that right there. So I'm actually going to offset that peak with some points there. And then here is the point. Wow. I guess it won't let me put one that close. There we go. Pull this point down. All right, let's see what that's doing there. And enabled. It's doing a little bit. Not really what I'd hoped. It says it's this here. Oh, looks pretty good, right? Take the gain up just a smidge, because making that saturation adjustment seemed to make it just a little darker. So this is the original. This is with the note on. Man, I think that looks pretty good. So the only question is it going to look good while it plays, which can be hard to figure out. Look at the highlight again. It's in there. Let's see, this right here, where's that? Yeah, it's got it selected there. Let's just keep bringing it on down. Very nice. All right, now I want to do a similar thing to his face. His face has gotten kind of a flat orange kind of deal. So we're going to go to Clip Face. And we're also going to take a sample. Okay, that's up there. And if I just straight up bring that sat down, I'm going to add, oh, but you know what we haven't done? Hang on, let me reset this because that's affecting my whole image. What we haven't done is do some qualifiers. So let's do that. So let's qualify like this right there. Okay, let's look at our highlight. Okay, I want to get pretty much all the green out of there, I think. Just skin tones. Yeah, I don't even really need the shaded part fixed. It's really just his actual skin. And I don't care if we desaturate that cardboard box. So what I'm going to do now is clean the heck out of my black. And clean my white. And come up on the bottom end a little more. And get rid of most of that road. Starting to lose the back of his neck there. Okay, let's go just a little more towards orange. Clean the black up some more. That's not bad. So then probably what I would do is put a, let's see if he goes down into that box. I think that he puts his hand in the box in the middle of the clip. Maybe not. If he doesn't go down in the box, then I can cut the box out with a window. So let's do that. So window, and let's see, add window is going to add a circular window. And let's see, I'm going to use my tools here. I can do it with the mouse, but there's a way to do it here. So let's find that out. All right. Windows palette trackball buttons. When the Windows palette is active, which it is, and the Shift Up key is pressed and held, the following functions can be controlled by the trackballs. Set this there. Okay. Gain trackball. Pan tilt for window position. Gain ring. Adjust size. So I'm holding down Shift Up, and we'll make it a smaller ring. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Undo that. I did not want to rotate. Oh, gain. It's over here at the right side. Okay. So this is going to be the size. And this is going to be pan tilt. So we're going to get it on this box and only this box. Okay. And then we want to invert this mask. As such. Boom. Okay. Now then, all I want to do is just reduce the saturation of this just a little bit. So let's take highlight mode off. So again, I'm just going to crank the gamma down so I can see what it's affecting. It's affecting his face and his arm and not the box. In fact, why don't we raise that box up just a little bit? Okay, let's reset our gamma. And so now all I really want to do is just pull the top end saturation down a little. So we'll go back to my curves. I'll go back to this Luma versus Sat. We'll select this portion here, and we'll just bring the saturation down just on that hot spot area. And again, I'm guessing it's probably that big hot spot there. So I'll disable this node, re-enable. All right, it's doing something, but I want it to do what it's doing, but do more of it. So I'm just gonna pull it down some more. So here's off, here's on. Yeah, that might be too much, so let's do something like that there. And his face looks a little pink from here. So I'm just going to take the gain away from pink by taking it towards green. So that should warm it up a little. Okay, disable. All right, and again, the best thing to do is to play this through and see how it looks being played through, which we're not going to be able to do because my processor's just not able to do it. But I don't see anything like tearing super weird. Any place that I click in here, I'm looking at his arm, I'm looking at his face. It looks good. I think this clip is probably ready to go. I want to see this red on this tail light here. It's all sort of within exposure, but I feel like it's too saturated. But I don't necessarily want to lose this red down here, which looks like it might be in the same space. Actually, it might need to come down a little too. So let's add another window here. So do another parallel from here, I guess. Add node, parallel. Perfect, yep. Okay, still don't need that. Don't need that. So this is going to go there. And this is going to go, no. This is going to go up here. Then we'll add it outside just in case. All right, and so now then we'll go back into our qualifiers, and I'm going to zoom in here. And I really just want this overly saturated red is really all I want. So we'll just select it there. And you can see the hue is like really ratcheted down, and saturation is there, luminance is there. So let's put it in highlight mode, and let's see which of these is playing the biggest role. Saturation, we'll turn it off, back on. All right, it's excluding some things. In fact, like I said, I really just care about the overly saturated thing. So we really could just do that. Okay. And then luminance, I really just care about the brighter part. All right, and we'll zoom out, see what all else we have in this image. So we are getting those flowers down there, and we're getting, I guess there's flowers or something there as well. So I'm going to clean up my black a little. We're definitely going to clean my white a lot, so that what we do have selected is like selected pretty nicely. In-out ratio, I'm going to take down just a little. Okay, and we'll turn the highlight off. Oh yeah, I see the little red flower there now. And once again, I'm just going to crank the gain way down on this node to make sure what we have selected here. And yet you can see, honestly, you could almost just leave it like that, taking everything black. We'll reset the gain. Really, all I really want to do is just knock down that crazy saturation in the red channel. I feel like it's just like too much bleeding out. So the first thing I will do is I will take the gain down just a little, and the gamma down also. So I'll disable the node and then enable it. Disabled, enable. Weird, doesn't look like it's doing much. So this is disabled. This is enabled. All right, it's just knocking it down just a little bit. I'm going to look at the flower in the bottom left. This is disabled. This is enabled. Yeah, it's just knocking it down just a little bit. And again, we'll hope that that looks good going through. But so far, I think it looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to copy this grade. Copy. I'm going to go to the next clip, which doesn't have any grading stuff on it at all, although it looks like this has some stuff on it for some reason. Okay. And so now I wonder if I hit paste, if it'll paste the whole grade. No, it only pastes it on that node. I thought the whole point of paste. Let me look at copy paste again here. All right. Copy. Copies the clip grade to the buffer. So when I'm on this clip, and all I hit is copy, that should copy the entire clip grade to the buffer. Not just shift up and copy would copy the node grade. I don't want the node grade. I want the clip grade. Paste the clip grade from the buffer to the selected clip. So I hit paste, but all it does is change that one node. And that's not even a node that should have anything changed about it. So why that not work is what I would like to know. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why, if we're in the primaries, maybe we have to be the primaries or something. Copy. Next clip. Paste. Yeah. Did nothing. Why? Why does it do nothing? Why is that? I don't know. So how else can we do this? So we go back to previous clip, and then there is a sort of a standard color thing here of apply grade. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So we go to the next clip, and then we do apply grade from one clip prior, which is shift equal. Good to know. All right, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, and I hate that, so let's undo that. So that's not what I want. I guess what I want is just to apply the naked grade. All right, so now what I'm doing is adjusting the balance for this particular clip, right? Okay. So I feel like the whole thing is too contrasty, so I'll deal with contrast in a minute. Exposure wise, I feel like, let me put this back in my waveform here. I'm going to take my gain up and my gamma down for this clip. So I'm going to take my gain up so that my sky is brighter. My overall whites go brighter, which initially is going to make Bonnie's face even more blown out. It's going to make Joey even more blown out. But now I'm going to take my gamma back down, which is going to stretch open the upper values by quite a lot. My bottom levels are still kind of crunched, but I can take my lift down a little more, I think. I still have room to go down before I start losing something that I want. Okay. So not terrible for my exposure. Let's go now to contrast. I'm going to lower my contrast by quite a bit. So that expands my middle out, leaving my 0 and 1 where they are. Take it down some more. And now I can, as part of this contrast adjustment, take my gamma down. Oh, now we're getting somewhere, huh? All right, so I got to look at the previous clip, look at Joey at the lot there, and then come back here. All right, this is still a little darker, so maybe that was too much on the gamma in this contrast node. Okay, previous clip, next clip. I mean, it looks pretty good, just going from clip to clip. You know, I'd have to do stills and do a side by side, which I could do, but I don't feel like it. So that's pretty good, pretty good. I am going to do one little adjustment in the HDR wheels. just in the highlights. I'm just going to take the highlights down just a smidge, just so we can get Bonnie's face and Joey's face. Okay, so if I disable that entire node, this is my contrasty, punchy image I have. My contrast node, I think, looks pretty good. I'm going to go into, not my shadows. Oh, hello. I'm going to go into my darks. I'm going to darken my darks just a little. Okay. So again, here's my real punchy, contrasty image. And here is my nice filmic looking image. I'm going to go back to the previous shot, and here, looking at Joey's shirt, looking at the grass. I think this is a little more saturated, which, you know, I brought the bottom end down quite a bit. Balance wise, I think everything's balanced pretty much, you know, where it should be. Things that are sort of in the middle, or, you know, like little sunlight spots are a little warm, you know, which they should be. This should be very warm. It is. This white should be a little warm. You know, it's kind of hit or miss. The blue here, this should be blue. This should be blue. The shadows down here should be bluer. Top of the van should be a little warmer white. This is blown out white. You know, Susan's shirt is pink, so you can see the reds popped up there. So overall, everything color balance wise, I think is pretty good. So now all I'm really concerned about is the saturation. Now this is set up as a HSV color space. Oh, no, it's not. I lied. It's supposed to be HSV color space. And it's supposed to do only channel 2. So not the hue. We're not going to change the hue. And we're not going to change the V. We're not going to change the value. We're only going to change the saturation. And so now when I do my lift gamma gain on this node, that should be the saturation curve, essentially. It should be what I am operating under. So let's find out if that works and how it works. So I'm going to ratchet down the lift, and it should take the saturation out of the bottom. So I'm going to take it down, and it increased the saturation of my bottom. Okay, so I'm going to reset lift. So I've got to go backwards, which is very confusing. So I'm going to go up on my lift. Oh, that's obviously increasing saturation. Interesting. Okay. Seems like that's doing like the hue, though, or something, right? Let me do the gamma. That's definitely saturation up. Gamma down. That's definitely saturation down. Okay. And gain down. Yep, took all the saturation out of the top end. Gain up. It's going to put saturation in the top end. Yeah, so we'll reset the gain. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to take the saturation down just a little in the middle. Looking at the grass, I think that looks pretty good. All right, now do we need to put a secondary on this light over here? It's super red. It's up there in the highlights, isn't it? We've got another sort of similar thing going on here. Oh, let's see about when she pulls in and puts her brakes on. There'll be another place to look at it. I've got a bright red light. Yeah, look right here. Yeah, that's kind of going off the charts. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm actually going to copy just this node. So supposedly, shift up and copy copies that node grade only. So I'm going to go back to this clip, and I'm going to create a parallel node, add parallel. But no, wait, not like that. Right here. And what is it? Option P. Okay, let's go there. Select that, delete that. This is going to go across there. This is going to go up here. All right. And then there's option O to do an outside node. It is. Okay. Option O. All right. And now then I'm going to paste the clip grade from the buffer to the selected clip. But it only pasted to that one node, unless the instructions are not correct. Okay, so, and this should have the same qualifiers. It does. Okay, so I'm going to disable this node and look at the, look at the side of the van up there. You can see it darkening. I don't really need the whole side of the van, so I may need to adjust it a little bit, at least in terms of like the saturation. Let's go to our qualifiers here. And let's go to highlight and enable the node. All right, and let's just take our saturation up and our luminance up. I really just want the stuff that's like up there in the top. That was too far, wasn't it? Oh, I want to take this, I guess, the other way, right? Make it shorter. There we go. Okay, now we're getting that dialed in. Let's clean up that white some more. And now let's go, was it right in here? We'll see her brake lights. There they is. There they are. This definitely should just probably go all the way up, because that's the whole thing, is we're wanting to get the stuff that's overly saturated. And probably separate this out a little. Turn the highlight off for a second so I can see what we're missing. I'm missing quite a bit, actually. Really just want, undo that adjustment. Really just want the overly saturated stuff. Okay. And we'll just blur, do a little blur radius there. Smooth it out some. All right, looks good there. Let's check the van at the beginning again. It's getting the side of the van in, but it's getting all of our red hot spots that we want. So let's turn our highlight off. Let's disable that node. Re-enable. Okay, not really making a huge change, but it's just enough that it's sort of knocking down that overly red. So this is off. If we go over these red, you see how high up that red is. If we turn it on, it's still pretty red. Still pretty red. So let's go now. Let's see what adjustments we're actually making on this here. Well, one thing we can do that I don't think we did was make some saturation adjustments. All I did was turn the gain down, right? I turned the gain and maybe the gamma a little bit, but I never actually did anything with the saturation. So let's just do that. Let's just do sat knob, which is right here. And I'll just turn it down. So again, I'll disable and re-enable. Yeah, just kind of taking the edge off of that a little bit. That's better. Let's go look at the van. I don't want a big gray splotch down that side of the van. So disabled, enabled. Oh yeah, that's no big deal. So again, ideally you'd be able to, play this through, but my computer just ain't gonna do it. Yeah, 1 frame a second. It's kind of hard to tell that anything is going on. All right, well, we've been at this for a little over 2 hours, so I think it's time for a little intermission. Get up and stretch. Don't forget 20-20-20. 20-20-20 means every 20 minutes you should look at something 20 yards away for 20 seconds. I obviously have not been doing this, so I need to go stand out in the sun and look at something far off. If the chickens are out there, I'll feed them, and then we'll come back and we'll finish a little bit of the balancing on this clip. There's still a couple things left that I would like to do. And then we'll get on with the rest of the scene. So we'll command saved, make sure that that is saved. And we'll go to intermission, and I'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes. See you in a few. All right, that's enough of that. That is enough of that. Let's see. Let's turn the lights up here just for a second so we can see each other. I mean, not that I can see you, but you can see me. Isn't that lovely? All right, I'm going to plug this phone in before it dies. What did you do on your break? Well, I went outside and got fresh air, and also stood in the sun. Oh, yeah. Which is quite nice. Then I had 2 tangerines and an apple, an organic Fuji apple. I refilled my water. I did a little bit of thinking just about some things. And now I'm back. All right, let's keep looking at this shot here, which goes right here. I love this little Elgato Stream Deck Mini, and already I want the bigger one that has all the buttons, so I don't have to keep turning pages. Already, I wish I had the large one, but the small one is fine. It's plenty. It's more than I had before, but it's just so handy, and I don't have it set up in the most handy way yet, but I will. I will. In fact, I'm just looking at all the buttons I have. I think I can come up with a much better way to have all this set up, but we'll do that later. We'll take care of it later. Okay. Let's go back to our Resolve lighting here. And continue working on this clip. And let's go back to, oh yeah, because I don't have this on the Stream Deck Mini yet. So I need to adjust that. So now I got my wheels down here so you can see what my hands are doing. Another thing that I want to do, just because I want to, is check this out. Okay. We greeked her plate by just covering up 2 of the letters with some white tape. This is like one of the few actual greeking things that we did. I mean, we got the whole Toyota logo was here and everything else. But it's so white, and I want it to just be this color. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to create a new secondary. So this secondary we're going to call red desat, because it's desaturating, the red in her tail light and the other active tail lights and stuff. We're going to Option P, create a new parallel node. We're going to delete that guy. We're going to reconnect this here, and we're going to reconnect this here. And there we go. And we'll just do a Option O outside node, just because why not? Just in case. And so on our active node, we're going to label that license plate. Okay. And we're not going to do anything crazy. I just want to take that white down. That's really all I want to do. But I want to limit it to the plate. Okay. So I want a new window, but I don't want a circular window. So I get my handy dandy notebook out here. And I go back to the page on Power Windows, and I think it's Shift Up Add Window. I guess I need to look at the buttons. The top group. Here we go. Top group. Add window. Shift Up adds a linear window. Yes. All right. So Shift Add Window adds a linear window. Let's zoom out so we can see where it is. And now that the window palette is open, if I hold down Shift, one second, just 1 second. There we go. Yeah. Then the gain is going to pan tilt. So Shift Up and go down there. And the gamma trackball adjusts the aspect ratio. I'm going to go the other way. That's fine. I want to make it smaller. Much smaller. I'm going to go way over here. Great. And now we'll zoom in some more. Okay. And we'll just keep getting this centered up here. Okay, and gamma ring adjusts rotation. Just rotate that just a little bit. Okay. I want to do the aspect ratio other way. Make it just a little bigger. And I want to adjust the softness, which is the lift ring. Okay. All right, that's pretty well centered. And really all I want to do is just take that white. So I think I want to add a qualifier on top of that. And just select that white. And go to our highlight mode here. Okay. And I want stuff that's almost entirely desaturated. So I'll get rid of that blue. And luminance, only the high level luminance stuff. Okay. too far. Come on back. Okay, I just clean my blacks. And clean my whites. Uh-oh, it's too much. Let's reset that. Let's reset the whites too. That's looking pretty good as it is. Maybe I need to move my black and white clip. Let's see what that does. Maybe I need to move my white clip. Oh, I see. It's just, I got you. I got you. Okay. Take our highlight off now. Go back to our window so we can see our window. And I think actually I want to take the softness down a little. And then just take the window zoom down just a smidge. That's pretty much right on there. That's pretty much right on it. So let's look at our highlight again. Yep, pretty much just that. So now all I want to do with all those qualifications in place is I just want to make that white look like this right here. Okay. So I'm going to come off the Windows palettes, just get rid of our window there. And I think I can just do everything on this one node. So if I just take the gain down, let's just start with that. That might be enough. It's pretty good. I'll bring the gamma up just a little bit, kind of smooth out the slope a little there. Take the gain back up just a hair. And that's pretty good. I'll take the saturation way down. Okay. Now the only problem is the shot moves, right? So we got to track it. So hopefully the car does not drive in front of it. If it does, I will cry. Not really, but hopefully it doesn't. So let's see what we've got here. Shift down, add window. Where's the window here? Add window. Shift down and add window tracks the active window in both directions. So shift down, add window, tracks that window in both directions. And there it is. There it is, working on tracking. So we'll just wait for that to be done. While we're waiting on that, what are you thankful for today? I'm thankful to be working even on Labor Day because I get to choose when I want to work. And I'm free to work today. I know many people had the day off. So, if that's you, if you had the day off, hope you did something enjoyable and constructive with it. Let's see if I hit Z to fit our clip to the window there, if that'll interrupt the track. Okay, the answer is no. Now we know. Although, here, what we haven't done, we haven't rotated it, and we haven't stabilized. So I'm going to have to retract this window. Basically just going to start all over with it. Qualifications and everything I can leave the same, but I'll just have to reset the window and find a good starting frame. I guess I can start at the beginning of the clip. So far it's tracking really well though. So part of me wonders if I should just go ahead and stop this then and do the stabilizing and the rotation fix of the clip in general. And you're probably saying, hey, why didn't you fix the rotation on set? Oh, there's the car. Let's see if it's going to go in front of our license plate. Oh, it's going to be so close. It's going to be so close. Look at that. I could put fake letters on it. I could put letters on it and just straight up track it. Track it to the... I could just make up a fake license plate. The camera, by and large, was leveled on set. But what's happening here is, even in its stabilizer, if you tilt it down and then pan left, look at my fingers here. So here you are, you're level. Okay. All right, so here's level. So you pan down and you pan left. Now look at my two fingers. See how they're not level anymore? Yeah. And so if you level it here even, it's still like what you're looking at doesn't look level anymore because it's not at the same plane. All right, so here, this is level here, right? And then what I'm looking at down here doesn't look level anymore. So my hand is level, but see how it looks like it's tipped down to you at that angle on the camera? But to me, it's basically flat. And so that's, there's just so many movements and things, to take into consideration. Ideally, if you are a camera operator sitting on top of a crane, you're sitting up there with the camera, then as the crane is booming down, you are adjusting for all these things. You sort of have everything loose and you're adjusting for all these things as the move goes on so that it remains straight as you go down. But we didn't have that. We had the camera on a stabilizer on a boom, and the only way we could turn it was with a phone. I think I was the one moving it. So I had my phone, and it was using the gyroscopes in my phone. If I tipped my phone like this, the camera would tilt down. If I tipped my phone back like this, the camera would tilt back up. If I twisted my phone like this, it would pan to the right. If I twisted it like this, it would pan to the left. And it was always just like a little delay, So it was very hard to track something. You had to sort of be ahead of where you wanted to be by about a half second, I think that we're done tracking here. So not bad. Looks pretty good all the way through from what I could see. Go all the way to the end of the shot here. Yeah, at some point it goes off the screen, which is okay. All right, so unfortunately, hopefully this will take us back to the first frame. It does. Okay, great. So let's look at our window now. Okay, window is good there. So if nothing else, what I'll do is I'll leave the window there on this frame and erase all the tracking information. after we get this set up. So let's go to our tracker here, and we're going to go actually to the stabilizer. But even before that, we are going to do some sizing. So let's go to our sizing. And I don't really want to change the size, but I do need to change the rotation a little bit. So let's see if there's anything about, oh, there is input sizing stuff. And let's see, that is shift down trackball controls. Okay. So lift doesn't do anything. Gamma ring adjusts the input sizing rotate. Okay. So shift down gamma ring, and I'm going to rotate this so it looks straight. I guess I want the van to be straight. That looks a lot better. Yeah, that's maybe a little too much. Okay. Now, it is interesting to me that it did not reveal anything in the corners of this shot. Maybe a little. So I wonder if I'm going to have to zoom in or not. Let me make sure I'm at snapped fit. Okay, yeah, it's fitting. Okay. Let's go to the end of the clip and see what our rotate level is like. Oh, well, that looks pretty good, right? Do we need to go a little more counterclockwise? Going to go a little more. All right. Now, what I don't have is a grid of some kind. I bet I can probably bring one up. Let's see. Window outline. No. Looking for some kind of overlays. Show marker overlays. Wipe style. Oh, well, I suppose I could. I suppose that I could do an image wipe. Wipe still. And I don't know what's still. It's play still. Okay. Wipe still. Shift up and wipe still. Wipes through the still options. So I want to do lateral. There we go. So now I can, and that's the reference sizing. That's why there's that black there. So I'm not really worried about that. I am just looking now. It seems like I can adjust the position of the wipe using the right ring. Other way. I mean, that's pretty level, right? I mean, look at the car, right? Her car is pretty level. The van is not bad. Yeah. So I think that is good in terms of rotation adjustment. So that's the end of the clip. And let's just click a couple of times through here, through the middle of the clip. Again, looks good. I think this all looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our tracker and we're going to go to stabilize, and we're going to start here at the beginning. And what are our stabilize options? We have perspective similarity, and translation. I think probably I just want translation, which is just X and Y. But I don't know what similarity is. But there's one way to find out, and that is to open preview. Oh, you know what I could do? I could make a button on my Elgato remote. Oh, you can't see a thing that I'm doing. I could make a button on my Elgato remote to open the Resolve manual. You could do that. Yeah, so you couldn't see anything that I was doing, which would have been a huge bummer if anyone was watching. Which, you know, who is? No one is. It's not happening. All right, so we're going to go to the Davinci Resolve manual. Come back. Come on. You can do it. There we go. All right, and we are going to, what are we doing? We're looking for the image stabilizer options. So this is on the color page. And let's find motion tracking windows. I guess we'll start with there. Okay. Simple tracking. Cloud tracker, point tracker, rotoscoping, window shapes after tracking, motion tracking windows, tracking across transitions, tracking windows when you'll be exporting media with handles, simple ways of working with data. Nothing here explicitly about, here we go. In stabilizer mode, the same underlying technology is used to smooth or stabilize the motion within the entire frame. In effects mode, a point tracker can be used to animate Resolve effects or OFX plugins with positioning controls. Okay, we're not doing anything like that. All we're doing is just stabilizing. Let's find something about stabilizing here. Okay, tracker palette modes, types of tracking. Cloud Tracker automatically analyzes all parts of the image for trackable points. The point tracker lets you create one or more tracker crosshairs that you can manually position. IntelliTrack is an AI tool that doesn't use predetermined rule sets or heuristics. I hate it when people use predetermined rule sets and heuristics. It's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. Yes, I don't know what it means, okay. Object tracking. That's not what I'm doing. I want to do clip frame controls. Tracker graph. Point tracker. IntelliTrack. Cloud tracker. Get me to the stabilizer. Dealing with occlusions. I don't want to work. Okay, we're just going to do a search.